James Gunn provided an update for his in-universe Batman film currently titled The Brave and the Bold. He also gave a very brief but pretty emphatic update on the Batman Part 2, directed, of course, by Matt Reeves. We're going to take a look at what he said, dive into it, and I'm going to give my own thoughts and opinions on it. Yes, I know my hair is a little crazy. Sorry about that. For some reason, I'm having a bad hair day today. But anyway, sit back, relax, and welcome to Studio Jake. Hi everyone, welcome to Studio Jake. This is my vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website, studiojakemedia.substack.com. With Superman getting ready to release into theaters, James Gunn has been in super hype mode for the DC Universe film franchise. He is making the rounds, giving a lot of updates on not just Superman, but on a couple of the other DC Comics film adaptations as well. In a recent interview with Rolling Stone, he also gave a snippet as to what's going on with his version of Batman, which will be titled so far The Brave and the Bold, as well as Matt Reeves' film The Batman Part 2. This is theworldofreal.com quoting his interview with Rolling Stone. Now, I want to say at the beginning of the article goes into a little bit of history about The Brave and the Bold, including how the Flash director was originally attached to it, but he is no longer, at least that's the way it seems. By the way, apparently he is not Italian. In a previous video I did talking about the Wonder Woman film, I guess I identified him as Italian. My apologies, he is not Italian. So just want to give an update on that. But anyway, back to worldofreal.com and the James Gunn interview. In a new Rolling Stone interview, Gunn got candid about the daunting task of crafting a new version of Batman for the DCU, one that must coexist with but remain distinct from Reeves' noir-drenched The Batman Saga. I believe the official title for it is the Batman Crime Saga. Continue on with World of Real. Batman's my biggest issue in all of DC right now, personally, Gunn admits, striking an unusually vulnerable tone. And while he's not the one writing the character directly, he's heavily involved in shaping the creative direction of what is currently still titled The Brave and the Bold. The challenge is clear. How do you introduce yet another version of the Caped Crusader into a cinematic landscape already saturated with him, without falling into parody, redundancy, or irrelevance? Batman has to have a reason for existing. He can't just be, oh, we're making a Batman movie because Batman's the biggest character in all of Warner Brothers, which he is. I'm not interested in a funny, campy Batman, really. That said, Gunn claims he's found a way in, a fresh perspective on the character that doesn't retread old ground, but still honors what makes Batman compelling. It's just a matter of executing the vision alongside the unnamed writer he's working closely with. As for Reeves, the Batman entering the DCU, Gunn didn't slam the door shut, but he's about as close as it gets. I would never say zero because you just never know, but it's not likely. It's not likely at all. He also took the opportunity to push back against rumors that the Batman Part 2 is dead in the water. It's not canceled. We don't have a script. Matt's slow. Let him take his time. People are mean. Let him do his thing, man. At the end of the day, Gunn is facing what might be the most high-stakes creative decision in modern franchise filmmaking, reinventing a character that has already been reinvented to death. Okay, so to sum up, they're in the process of writing The Brave and the Bold. The Batman Part 2 is being slowed down by whatever is going on with Matt Reeves. On the Matt Reeves Batman Part 2, if you want this movie to get made, it might behoove you to skip out on Superman. And I hate to say that because I am actually excited about Superman. I plan on going to see it. One of my paid subscribers, that was their movie pick. By the way, if you go on to my website, studiojakemedia.substack.com, and you do one of the paid tiers, you get to pick a movie for me to review on the website. And if you want me to talk about it on the vidcast, there's another tier for that. So just throwing that out there. But anyway, if you want the Batman Part 2, it might behoove you to skip out on Superman. A lot is riding on Superman. Now, I don't want that to happen. I wish there was a world where they both could exist because I really liked the the Batman. Robert Pattinson pleasantly surprised me, and he did a good job. Now, what's going on? Originally, I was kind of under the impression that James Gunn and Peter Safran, the two co-heads of DC Studios, that they were intentionally sabotaging the Batman Part 2. And that could still be what's going on. Now, other leakers and insiders are saying that's not the case, that Matt Reeves is actually very ill with something. It's an undisclosed sickness that he is keeping quiet for his privacy's sake, and that's his business, and that's why it's taking so long. What I think they should do for both of these films to exist together is they need to have the Batman Part 2 maybe be an HBO Max exclusive like the Penguin was, and that way it could be separate from the films and then send The Brave and the Bold into theaters. That's just my personal take on it, but whatever. Now, on to The Brave and the Bold. I think that Batman doesn't need to be reinvented. I'm so tired of hearing that. Oh, we're basing Batman on this historical figure, or we're basing him on this particular rock star. You don't have to do that. I'm so sick of that. What The Brave and the Bold needs to be is, first of all, it needs a different name. That's a terrible name. For one thing, The Brave and the Bold wasn't technically a Batman title. Batman was the star of it for a number of years, but it was actually him crossing over with other superheroes to fight their villains. In fact, for a while, Superman became the lead character in The Brave and the Bold, and even for a while, it was Green Lantern. So, what I would do is I would change the title. It could be anything. You could do the Caped Crusader, since the Dark Knight trilogy exists. Call it Batman Caped Crusader, and that way it kind of stands out on its own. And then do the Caped Crusader 2, Caped Crusader 3, things like that. You don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Just do a good, solid Batman film. I think that that could work out. And I think they should lean into a villain that's not the Joker. So we've seen on screen the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face, the Riddler, Bane twice, a character who claimed to be the KG Beast but actually wasn't. Don't get me started on that. Falcone several times, Catwoman several times. So I think they need to go with a different villain than any of the villains that have appeared on screen. Yes, they might attract people who just have a passing sort of familiarity with Batman, but I would lean into some of Batman's lesser known villains. I mean, as far as general audience is concerned, so like Hush or Professor Pig, The Circus of Strange. Mad Hatter has never been in a film. He would be a very interesting way. Now, apparently Clayface is on the table, so that would be really cool. I don't think we've seen Clayface in a theatrical sense. He certainly has been live action in Birds of Prey, which was a terrible TV show. Don't waste your time looking that up. But anyway, I digress. Point is, I think that that is the way James Gunn needs to go. He needs to tread unfamiliar territory. He needs to not reinvent the character. He just needs to base Batman on a particular point in the comics. So whether it be the New 52 Batman, sort of the 90s Batman, where you had these very grand sort of events that were happening in Gotham City, same with the 2000s. You could do the 1 year later Batman, do something along those lines. But you don't need to reinvent Batman. You just need to do a younger Batman who's in his prime, who's maybe been Batman 3 or 4 years, and he's more experienced as a crime fighter. So that way it can come together. Now, I know that the Batman is technically supposed to be a younger Bruce Wayne, but I think that with The Brave and the Bold, you can establish that he's still young, but he's more experienced. He's fought crime, maybe introduced Dick Grayson. Don't do Damian Wayne. That will turn people off. Damian Wayne is not a popular character except on Tumblr and Instagram. Real Batman fans do not care for Damian, maybe except for the Batman Unlimited version of the character. Really, you need to bring in Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, or Tim Drake to be Robin for these films. That's what I would do. James Gunn, if by chance this comes up in your suggested YouTube feed, listen, man, I've told you before, I think sometimes you're very deceptive with the fans and the audience members. You need to be more straight with us, and you need to, not do those perverted X post that you got fired from Disney from and then rehired. You weren't actually canceled. I don't care what anyone says. But if you're watching this, take my advice. I guarantee you, if you follow what I said in this video, you are going to have a hit Batman film on your hands, especially if you get the casting right. If you like that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment, tell what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell to get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to studiojakemedia.substack.com, where you can read most of my articles for free, or you can unlock different tiers by subscribing. In the conveniently titled Buy My Book section, you can also pick up one or all four of my novels. There's links all over the place where you can purchase them, but they're all on Amazon. So like I said, get one or all four, leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.